Looks like I'm going to be back all over the place. I don't hear anything.
Let's call the meeting to order, and can I get a roll call, please?
Doug Hall, Maggie McCallum. Here. Terry Fields. Here. Terry Lodge.
Here.
Ted Wendler.
Present.
Victor Ramos. Tim London.
Here.
Ed Penley.
Here.
Tim Davis.
Here.
Larry Coletti.
Present.
Nick Foster.
Here.
Bob Stork.
Here.
Neil Bellin. Here. Mike Lybarker.
Here.
Nancy Epps.
Here, remotely.
Christy Gillis. And Mayor. Jason Oftenberg.
Present.
Maggie Ardito. Joe Kona.
Here.
Elizabeth Bonds. Adam Mengel. Amy Strober. Daniel Nicholas. Trevor Martin. Suzette Cameron. Here. Morgan Bear. Megan Lindsay. Here. Siva Prasad.
Here.
Orna Bhattacharya. Here. We have a physical form.
Okay, great. Let's stand. Pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, public comment, participation. Anybody out in the public or online have anything to say? Okay.
Remote users.
Anybody remote have anything to say? No comments? Okay. Do we have a motion for remote participation?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Seconded.
Okay, anybody that is remote out there can participate. Oh, all for
Aye.
and all opposed? The ayes have it, motion passes. Need to review and approve January 14th BPAC meeting minutes. I get a motion to do that, or do you have any questions or comment?
A motion to accept the, those January 14th meeting minutes.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, second, motion passes. Action item A, what? Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. Action item B, review and recommend approval of draft fiscal year 26-27, fiscal year 2027-28 Unified Planning work bicycle pedestrian task for FDOT review. Steve would be doing that? Okay.
So our Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, outlines the annual activities funding of the TPO over a 2-year period. UPWP of effective July 1st of this year. Our activities here at the TPO funded in large part through federal grants. And these federal grants must be identified and approved by Federal Highway Administration, FDOT, in advance of each fiscal year. The activities, projects, and funds must be documented in the UPWP and updated every 2 years. Last month, we discussed the UPWP and we accepted feedback from you all, accepted input for our draft UPWP, the bicycle and pedestrian task for review of FDOT and federal highway. Now, we have documented those tasks, and starting on page 9 of your agenda packet, it's also up on the screen. You'll see that document. On page 1 of the document, those are simply our goals of our current Volusia-Flagler 2050 long-range transportation plan. That's just for reference purposes. Starting on page 2, those are the actual bicycle and pedestrian tasks. And all of these would be in task number 2.0. And task 2.0 contains other tasks other than bicycle and pedestrian, but we extracted the bicycle and pedestrian elements from that particular task. And you'll see up on your screen, far left column, that's the general description. The column in the middle with activities in green, those are the activities in the current UPWP. And the right-hand column, those are recommended activities and deliverables in the next UPWP that starts July 1st of this year, fiscal year 26-27, fiscal year 27-28, and those are marked in orange. Now, a lot of these activities and deliverables will be carrying forward into the new UPWP unchanged. However, some of the language in those activities has changed simply for greater clarity. For instance, the second task down, where it says participate in Bike Walk Central Florida's Best Foot Forward program. And so the recommended language going forward will be participate in Bike Walk Central Florida's Best Foot Forward for pedestrian safety program. Same program, just tweak the language to make it a little clear. If you come on down to where it says develop and approve the bicycle pedestrian list of prioritized projects, going forward, that new recommended language would add Sun Trail projects to that task. That's something we do every year. So just to make it clear, we want to change that language. If you come on down to the very next page, that first task on the top of this page, we have added Flagler County to that, to those activities. Okay, for obvious reasons. We serve all of Flagler and all of Volusia, so we wanted to reflect that. Now, a new task is the very last one in the right-hand column. And this is something that was suggested by the TPO board last month, because we did accept feedback from them as well, these tasks. And the suggestion last month from the board was to add an electric bicycle or e-bike safety improvement study that would take a look at fatalities, serious injuries associated specifically to e-bikes. So we're adding that task. Also, in the middle column, those last two activities: participate in the St. Johns River to Sea Loop Alliance Active Transportation Workshop and participation in Central Florida Mobility Week. We don't anticipate that those activities will occur again in fiscal year 26-27 or fiscal year 27-28. So those are not being carried. And those are the changes those are revisions from last month. So changes. Are there any questions or comments?
I'll just commend you for adding that task on the e-bikes. I think I was just telling Bob that I was coming down Hand Avenue the other night. It was dark. E-bike rider in dark clothing, no reflectors. I barely saw him. He's lucky he's alive.
Yeah, of course, we have a presentation coming up about that.
Yep.
This is a hot topic and is being tackled both on the local and on the state level.
Is there a budget associated with all these tasks?
There will be. We don't have the funding allocations in this table for you. Okay, but we have to have that before the new UPWP is adopted.
First step.
And yes, and so from here, in this UPWP, it's also being reviewed by the other advisory committees, CAC and TCC, and the TPO board this month. After this round of meetings this month, it's going to go to FDOT, Federal Highway, for review, and then it'll come back. The financial allocations will be added, and then we'll be looking at adopting it in April. Okay, so this is coming back.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
I get a motion to approve the Unified Planning Work Program Bike Ped Task Force.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Like the ayes have it, the motion passes. Hey, this is coming in a timely manner. Presentations, discussions. From Palm Coast, we have Fawn, the city of Palm Coast, talking about the operation of electric e-bikes. Welcome, Fawn.
sorry. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and BPAC members. For the record, I'm Fong Wing, the planning manager for the city of Palm Coast. Just briefly about myself, I started with the city back in 2004. I worked for about 4 years. I left and I went to St. Johns County as the transportation planning manager for about 4 years. And then I was promoted to transportation division manager until I came back to the city back in 2023. So I was there for about 2.5 years, and then recently, last October, they promoted me to planning manager. So I'm not sure why they picked me, but but I was honored to do that. And so this afternoon, we're going to go through 4 of the areas applicable statutes and then definition, the proper usage and prohibition, and penalties. So just to let you know, you can hear me, right? Well, without the microphone.
Yes.
Thank you. So in section 316, this is the general statute that allows local authority to regulate and exercise police power relating to streets and highways within their jurisdiction. The next set of statute 316.2065 basically allow local governments to adopt an ordinance governing the operation of all those things there: electric bicycle on highway, sidewalk, bike path under local government's jurisdiction, and establish a minimum age and also require the government issue identity IDs. Okay. And so the definition of bicycle is basically, everyone is aware, a vehicle propelled solely by human power, having 2 tandem wheels and including any device generally recognized as a bicycle, though required with 2 front or 2 rear wheels. And later on, it's going to further define that it's only going to be only 3 wheels. The term does not include a scooter or a similar device. So that's the definition of bicycle. And e-bike, bicycle basically, or tricycle. So eliminating 4 wheels because that would engage into golf carts. So to specifically define like that, with fully operable peds, a seat or saddle for the use of the rider, and an electric motor of less than 750 watts. Later on, you can see that the 750 watts in the ordinance basically are prohibited to be on streets. Okay, this term includes devices defined as electric bicycle pursuant to 316.00323 as may be amended. So that's what it is. And e-bikes has basically classified in 3 classes: class 1, 2, and 3. Class 1 and 2 are basically maximum speed limit is 20 miles per hour. 1 basically doesn't have a throttle, and number 2 has a throttle. Okay, and then number 3 basically up to maximum of 28 miles per hour, and which basically are pedal assist only, no throttle. So eliminate that. So those are the 3 classes of e-bikes. Next is electric power cycle. So this is basically the 750 watts that I'm talking about. That means any motor vehicle having a seat or saddle for the use of the rider and designed to travel on not more than 3 wheels in contact with the ground. This vehicle has no pedals and is powered by an electric motor, which may exceed 20 basically miles per hour. So similarly, if you drive a golf cart, there's no throttle. You just hit the the gas pedal and you let it go, and that's basically it. And government issue ID basically means driver license, passport, military ID issue under chapter. Basically, you get a Florida ID. Accountable government ID is displaying individual name, date of birth, and a photograph. So bicycles, what's the proper use of it? So here basically identify under statute 316.2065. And it talks about, bicycle regulation except otherwise provided in this chapter. Further, when operating on roadways, bicycle operators shall comply with all traffic regulations. Okay. So before I came here, I just want to let you know that the sheriff, because this was only adopted back in October last year until now. So there's very few citations. I think the sheriff basically allow a period of time before they actively gonna do citations. And today, I think we had unfortunately, we had one fatality relating to e-bike, and that was due to the e-bike, not the vehicular driver. So just to give you a brief update on that. And we don't anticipate the sheriff will be actively going out there in order to do citation. I think they have other fish to fry than just to see someone riding an e-bike and stop them and say, do you have proper ID? What's your age? And things like that. Probably not. So, but we have regulations in place. We went through the public process hearing, and then we also basically announce it to citywide to make sure that educating parents to be careful with that. So every bicycle operated at nighttime would have a lamp that can shine at least 500 feet in advance, and a red light in the back that at least 600 feet that it could be visible. Okay, so, and then the proper use and prohibition. So e-bike shall follow the same statute here. When on roadways, shall comply with all traffic regulations. We anticipate and expected riders to basically follow all traffic regulations. E-bikes operated at nighttime, again, has to have lights in front and red light in the back that others can see at a certain distance. On any sidewalk or bicycle path that is not immediately adjacent to a roadway, e-bike operators shall not exceed a speed limit of 10 miles an hour. All riders operating an e-bike along a bike path or sidewalk shall yield the right of way to any pedestrians. And specifically, we've seen a lot is that, especially at side street crossing or at crosswalk, we've seen a lot of them. They just zip right through it without even care about cars turning in or out. And I think that's where we kind of think that anticipate that's going to be the location of crashes, because we've seen a lot of the kids or even adults just went like zip right through it, and without any regard to to a 2,000 or 5,000 pounds of vehicle. They're not going to win, but hopefully there's an education that will go along with that. And then the city council set an age limit of 11 years of age may operate an e-bike on any roadway, right-of-way, bicycle lane, bicycle path, sidewalk, or other city-owned property. Oh, also back to the crosswalk, they're supposed to be slowed down to approximately like 5 miles an hour, but nobody's doing that. So, and then nothing here prohibits a minor under the minimum age from riding as a passenger. So now you have an 11-year-old and then a 9-year-old brother or sister will sit in the back. So that's might be even worse. As a passenger on any bicycle, electric bicycle design equipped for a passenger. So, and then any person operating e-bike shall carry a government issue ID, and shall present such ID when asked by a law enforcement officer. So bicycle would are required if you're 16 and younger, basically of age and younger. You have to have basically a helmet in order to do that. So here, the last sentence say that a parent or legal guardian may not knowingly permit a child under 16 years of age to violate this subsection. So because we put that on purpose, if in case it will go back to the parent that will basically violating that if they allow their children to go without a helmet. Okay, so the electric power cycles, this was defined a little bit, this was defined a little bit earlier, which I was talking about is the electric power cycle. That's not allowed on any of our roadway. So electric power cycles are best understood as off-highway motorcycles, dirt bikes, for example, and are powered by electric engine, which was not designed for and are not authorized to operate on cities' roadways, basically. So this type of vehicle has no pedals and is powered by an electric motor, which may exceed speed of 28 miles per hour. So that's prohibited on roadways. And these are the prohibitions here for electric power cycles on any bike lane, any bike path, because we have multi-purpose path as well. So when I was back in early 2000, our first prototype was a 12-foot wide multi-purpose path along Pine Lakes, and we had a lot of resident support. And then when I went to St. Johns County, subdivision came in, and there was a requirement that you had to have sidewalks on both sides of a collector or a subdivision collector. But people would, ask developers, builders, ask, can they have a 5-foot sidewalk on one side, and the other side would be a 12-foot, and then reduce the bike lane within the roadbed, and that got a lot of attraction on that, and so St. Johns County provided that option for developers to come in. And in Palm Coast, we've seen a lot of that too. New subdivision that comes in, always asks for that option, because somehow people love to have wider sidewalks so they can walk. They feel more comfortable than the 5-foot sidewalk. We used to have 4-foot sidewalk, and by the time, after about 2 years, the grass, encroach that, and you got only maybe 2 feet left. So typically either 5-foot, but I think Flagler County has an interesting sidewalk width is 6.5 feet. So I don't know where they got 6.5 feet from, but it works because I think if you have 2 wheelchair traverse that, then you basically would be a minimum of 60 inches. So 6.5 feet, give it a little bit more room, but that's probably by coincidence or something, but they adopted that years ago. The electric power cycles are not allowed on any of that city-owned or controlled property, including cars, on any city-owned or maintained right-of-way, in any public space or pathway within the city, on any roads or crosswalk within the city, on any sidewalk or public pathway within the city. So basically, they are prohibited, basically. So, which means that golf carts are also prohibited. It's not stated there, but it's basically they are prohibited unless you're in a community that actually design and provide separate golf cart pathways. So. In St. Johns County, there's one community called Nocatee. I think you have heard of them. They initially started with that, and then they have to come back and retrofit in order to add additional golf cart pathways there. So if any jurisdiction that, or any development that comes in, I would strongly suggest that if they want golf carts, make sure part of their site plan include a separate golf cart pathways. Okay, it's not a good thing to go back and retrofit. It's costly and is very difficult to manage that. And then so the penalties is basically $100 for each violation, including bicycle, e-bike, and electric powered cycle. So that's the minimum. It doesn't go into like first violation, second violation, or anything like that. The ordinance didn't specify on that. So, and with that, if you have any questions, I'm available. Yes, ma'am.
So, back to the list of all things 1 through 7. That's this one. What if you have a student that's on his way to school, and the school is within the city? Are you saying that that student, 12 years old, can't use an e-bike to go to school because the school is within the city?
Yeah, if they can, provided they have to follow all the requirements. They have to have proper ID and make sure that the e-bike doesn't exceed the 28 miles per hour. Yeah.
Okay, but you're saying it is unlawful for a person to operate an e-bike.
Oh, that's.
That's electric power cycle.
This is
That's a
power.
different-
Oh, electric power cycle.
Yeah, that's the one that uses, basically, we have two definitions for that. That uses 750 watts or higher, or greater than speed limit of, it can exceed 28 miles per hour.
So we're talking about class 3.
Yeah, no, this is basically a separate class, electric power cycle.
Okay,
This is like called off-road bike, dirt bike or something.
okay,
They're like dirt bikes. They're like
Yeah.
little bikes.
okay, thank you.
Sure, yes, sir.
Couple things.
Yes.
I happen to live in Palm Coast.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, one of the things I'd like to see is more signage, like on Belterre Parkway.
What kind of signage?
Well, the side streets that come out onto Belterre, people normally just look to the left, right? Because it's a divided highway.
Mhm.
So there's bikes coming from the right. And I'd like to see some signs that say, look right.
For bicycle
No,
or
for the car, the
Oh, for the
vehicles.
car.
They've stopped at the stop sign, but they're only looking left. And if they don't see any cars coming, they're pulling out, whether they're pulling left or right. It's just the bicycles, even though they may be slowing down, that driver is not looking for them.
So are the bicycles on a sidewalk or on a bike?
Sidewalk. They're at a sidewalk. And there's a crosswalk.
Yeah.
But
But drivers are not looking
No.
left and right.
because it's a divided highway, so they're only looking
Right.
one way. My other thing is, I know in a number of intersections,
Mhm.
there are crosswalks and the signage up, and many of them you have the 5-second delay. So when the walk goes, the cars have to wait about 5 seconds before their light changes. I'd like to see that on more of your traffic lights. Okay, it really does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
When, we're trying to cross and before the cars all start going every which way, we can get out there into the lane.
So I'll convey that. One is for public works and the other one is for traffic division.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, I think we have a lot of signage there and I think we submit, what do you call it, speed limit signs for local roads.
Mhm.
It's coming, Colleen. It's about 2,700 signs that we have to
Wow.
replace. So we ask, we going to do that. It's going to be a lot of signage there. And we also updating our signage because of the reflective material is getting dull because it's aged. So at night, when you shine the light there, you won't be able to see what side street that is. The name of that is side street. So we go through all that, to update. Yeah.
I just have one more item of interest.
Yes.
I was going to bring this up towards the end of the meeting, but since we're talking about e-bikes.
Sure.
On January 19th, the state of New Jersey just passed a new e-bike law. Okay? What they're saying is for class 1, 2, and 3, you must possess a valid license, driver's license, or if you're 15 or older, a motorized bicycle license. Okay, all e-bikes must be registered with the state, and all e-bike must carry liability insurance similar to motor vehicles. And anyone under the age of 15 is not permitted to operate any bike. And what I'm seeing here is that, it's going to come probably to our state because the insurance lobbyists are going to want more money.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And the state will have registration money.
Right.
So, it's pretty scary, but I think coming down the road, we're going to see some regulations like this.
I think so too, because for example, that fatality that I just spoke about,
Right.
It was the the fall was the operator of the e-bike. Now, how does the vehicular driver is going to get paid for it, and for damages and stuff like that? So if they don't have insurance, so it's probably eventually gonna come down to that. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, first I'd like to comment on the New Jersey law because that has resulted in New Jersey being known across the country as the most bicycle unfriendly state in the union. And really, everybody is quite upset about this. And I think it's probably going to get because there has been such a backlash. But I also would like to ask for clarification. So the first one, Florida statutes, is Florida's law. And then everything below that is on coast law. Is that correct?
Yeah, because the statute allows local governments to set those type of rules, age limits and
Yes.
things like that.
But the state also
ID.
says that bicycles, and it looked like they're not legal bicycles.
No, they are bicycle except the electric power cycle. Those are different. So we can set that.
But this says solely by human power, has to be a bicycle, and I don't think that's not the state law.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can trump state law. So whatever state law allows us to have that authority, then we can go under that authority, right?
So, Florida Bicycle Association, working very hard on state level. And I'm on that board of directors,
Yeah.
working very hard on state level e-bike laws. And so, and there will be a task force
Yeah.
that will have recommendations in October. So I think that's probably going to override this.
It could be because this ordinance initiated by our city attorney and our sheriff. I was not involved in it. I just got the tail end of it. Yes, sir. And then
Who picked the 11-year-old age? Because I can't imagine an 11-year-old going 28 miles an hour on a 70-pound e-bike.
city council.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
No. I see them doing it. It's just I can't see them being able to handle the responsibility of doing it.
Oh, yeah,
That's insane. I mean, if you've gone 28 miles an hour on a bike, you know that's fast.
it is fast.
Do 11-year-olds have ID? I mean,
Yes, it's required to have ID. You can go to a DMV and get Florida ID, yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. So
Yes.
11-year-old could go in and get a,
I mean, with parents' consent,
yes. And that's what you're expecting.
correct. With the parents' consent, and then the parent would be knowledgeable about allowing your children to ride on e-bike and comply with all the regulations. Right?
Okay.
That's the intent, that part of the ordinance, stated that, yeah, so.
And so for the 11-year-old to 15-year-old or any age that's needs parent consent. Going to get that ID is the parent saying, I know the rules.
Mhm.
Is that, in
Yeah.
other words, they're getting that ID and the rules have been presented to them.
Correct, right. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Interesting.
yes,
What
sir.
are the penalties not to have an ID with you? You get
Yeah,
charged
penalty.
$100 if you're asked for your ID and you don't have one.
Yeah, if you violate any of that, you'll get an ID, you get a penalty of $100 per offense, so.
On the age thing, correct?
On the age, without a helmet, you use electric power cycle, each one's gonna
But
get hit
the
by.
police aren't gonna enforce it to speak of.
It's gonna be rare. It's not gonna be often. I can tell you that because they have other major issues to
Take care.
attend to.
So
Yes, yes, sir, yeah.
So has local law enforcement seen this, aware of this? And have they given you any feedback on enforcement?
The sheriff was part of the one that initiated this e-bike ordinance. So the sheriff and our city attorney, the craft this ordinance here and went to the city council for approval. So they are well aware. But about 2 weeks ago, we asked our sheriff's department about citation. I say right now it's extremely few. Normally the citation are due to accident, and then they came there and do citation, but they don't purposefully basically stop someone on an e-bike and say, hey, let me check you out. They have not done that. So I think they typically allow a period of time, maybe like 6 months or so, for people to be aware of the new ordinance, before they engage. But even though, my opinion, I don't think they have the manpower to do it, basically. Right.
And when you say including parks, does that include trails as well?
Yeah, park trails, yeah, multi-purpose path, all of that. That would bike path or any of the pathway, any say number 5 in any public space or pathway. So that include multi-purpose paths, trails. Yeah. Yeah.
The uni boards, I used to see them on the beach quite a bit, a one wheel, they can zip along pretty quick. And the little scooters the kids wear that are electric,
Yeah.
by definition, they don't apply to any of this. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Basically, in here it stated that at least the are not applicable to one of that. Let me
Two
see.
wheels. Right.
Those things go pretty quick, those uni boards.
It doesn't apply to scooter or similar device. So
In a
like
fall,
a unicycle probably doesn't.
I meant the little uni boards they use on the
Yeah.
beach. Zip
The
along.
hoverboard, you talking about?
Not the hoverboard, that's not a surfboard, not hydrofoil, are you referring to, or what's hoverboard?
Hoverboard is like
One big
a
wheel
skate.
on a
Yeah.
board? Okay, I didn't know that's what it was called.
a Segway. Are you talking about Segway?
No, not segways. It's just a board, there's a big
Wheels.
wheel on it,
That's one,
you balance it.
one wheel.
you-
Yeah, that's a one. Yeah, right. That's like a hoverboard, but it has only one wheel. There's another kind that has 2 wheel that you can like. I would flip
Forward to go forward.
anytime.
How do they-
When I get on that, but
How do they determine the speed limit? Because the speedometer is not required on a bicycle. Are they gonna have a radar gun on the path? I don't know.
supposedly there's some kind of measurement that they can detect. But in all practical purposes, enforcement is going to be very loose. Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a question from Ed.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation and thanks for
You're
working to keep people alive and safe.
Yeah.
As this technology continues to boom. I've got a couple questions and a comment. The first question is, as Palm Coast considered this important ordinance, was there discussion or is there consideration and implementation with the benefits of e-bikes, for example, in providing people with affordable mobility.
What do you mean by that?
I'm asking whether the context of any of your discussions or whether the discussions themselves consider the benefits of this emerging technology of all sorts of electronic mobility.
Yeah, I think part of the city council discussion was relating to that as well. So there are people, we call it transit dependent, be aware, because they don't have the ability to have a car. And this is another way that they would be able to have transport. And because some of the e-bikes, or I see most of the e-bikes has like a back seat. It also has an area where you can put groceries and stuff like that. And we've seen that the trend is kind of much better than walking or a regular bicycle. That would help, people who are transit dependent can use that, to move about. So, yeah, definitely.
I appreciate hearing that, and I hope that we and maybe other jurisdictions can keep that in mind as they seek to keep people safe, regulated appropriately in this bigger context of the benefits and the potential benefits, and I'm glad you're thinking about that. I guess my related comment would be just to bring to all of our attention that the League of American Bicyclists, which is the national organization that's a premier advocacy group and, the national affiliate of the Florida Bicycles, does have a policy statement and recommendation on e-bikes and the regulation of e-bikes. So I just wanted to bring that to our attention. Hope we can keep that in mind. What a premier national group is suggesting. And I'm happy to share that with staff if we haven't seen it lately. Maybe it might be of interest to the staff or to us. My other question is about the reference to golf carts and facilities for them. And I'm a little confused. I'm wondering if you could clarify that. You referred to the possibility of separate facilities to accommodate, again, this boom in four-wheeled electric vehicles, some of which we call golf carts. Because that's one model, but I'm also aware of places like Flagler Beach that have low-speed streets that are shared spaces. So, for example, on Flagler Beach, we have a uniform speed limit of 20 miles an hour, even A1A, and portions that are 25 or 30 miles an hour. Golf carts can legally use those as shared spaces. And I'm wondering you referred to separated ones, but do you agree that that's also a model for jurisdictions, is the low-speed streets and roads that are shared spaces?
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, I think it was popular. We collectively call it micro mobility, and that is basically for higher speed limit than 28. It can hit like 35, 38. So that will classify this similar to like a golf cart. Okay, and I was part of the committee that did the golf cart ordinance for St. Johns County, and then we would allow them at certain streets to basically ride on the street itself, but it is tailor-made to a certain area, designated area, and we also require that you have to have like a driver license in order to use that. So it's and then you see that micro mobility kind of like went away a little bit, only like in major downtown area that may have that. And like Atlanta downtown, you can see they allow you to rent those and then just toss it on the sidewalk and walk away, and they I don't know how they make money on that, but we see that all over downtown. But regulations like that, yes, I think if it's getting more popular, more people are using that, then yes, definitely it will be to a point that it will allow on local streets up to a certain posted speed limit for those type of streets.
So lower speeds.
Yeah, lower speed streets, right? Yeah, like local street or maybe subdivision collector or something like that, but not like major collector. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I would just observe, to me, that's sort of a win, because we talked about in other contexts how lower speed streets, everybody tends to stay alive.
Mhm.
And then you have this other benefit that you don't have to build separate facilities if everybody is sharing the space.
Mhm.
You have one system rather than two or three.
Correct. Right.
But again, the key factor then would be that the lower speed.
Yeah, the lower posted speed limit roadways. Recently, we looked at back in 5 years, so we had about 9 fatality in the city of Palm Coast limit, and were all on major collector, none on local roads. So comes to your point that, yeah, so.
Oh, one
Yes,
more.
ma'am.
I'm just curious about the term that you chose, electric powered cycles,
Yeah.
which is something that has no pedals and it's basically a dirt bike, right?
Yeah, it's a dirt bike.
The term is so, I read it, at first I read it the same way Gail did, that you were banning e-bikes, but you're
No,
not.
we're not. Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe a different term would be, make it more clear that you're talking about
Yes. Yeah.
vehicles with no pedals and that can go any.
Correct. Yeah. Mhm. Thank you. Mhm. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I know you talked about e-bikes and so on. So there's currently scooters that go between 20 to 30 miles per hour.
Yes.
Is this also gonna apply to scooters as well?
No,
Just e-bike?
does not include scooter.
Okay, so is there anything to
Come in.
think about later on for scooters? Because scooters pose the same risk as e-bikes.
Agreed. Mhm.
So I would think this would apply to that, but just want to see if that's something that they're considering in the future to roll out as, as an ordinance or something out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think scooter were first introduced before e-bikes did. But then scooter is a little bit harder to basically operate. You have to have certain balance, like you have to be a surfer or something like that. But then it's kind of died down a little bit once e-bike came along, and then a lot of people just switched to e-bike. And the trend right now, you see a lot more e-bike than scooter. So if there are more scooters out there, probably yes, we may have to regulate that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Again, hats off to you for,
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
for your team taking the initiative, putting this together, and your sharing it too. It's kind of good to see that. I like the idea of creating a national guideline that the cities don't have to do this kind of work. They can adopt it,
Yeah, that would be
have it available.
uniform. Yeah.
Yeah, and be able to have that communication with all the cities in the United States. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Well,
Right.
again, the state is going to come out with policies
The
in
state,
October.
let the state do that.
And they're getting the statewide organizations to collaborate on that, so.
Because e-bikes aren't the enemy.
No.
They're a great practical mode of transportation. That's very affordable, very cost effective,
Yeah.
and very friendly. I go to Winn-Dixie all the time. I can carry like 8 bags of groceries. So it's a great thing, and I appreciate you doing
I
this.
thought you said you're gonna carry 6-pack. I'm just.
I got the same Panters.
All right, any other questions for Fawn?
Yes, sir.
I share the concern about 11 years old being able to do 28 miles an hour. And I'm wondering, since we bothered to define the classes, whether we can link ages to these classes and whether Florida or the bike league is thinking about this. This seems to make sense to me. And I personally bought a kit from England that won't go above 16 because that's the rule over there. And I'm in New York City where they just force all cars to go not more than 25 and all bikes under 15 for the entire city. So if I could be the king and wave my wand, I would make all of Daytona Beach 20 miles an hour, all bicycles 15, and I'd be perfectly happy.
Well, the city council already basically wanting to reduce the local speed limit from basically 30 down to 20. But our recommendation is maybe 25, but not 20. So that's the reason why part of that is we're gonna basically replace and put all of our posted speed limit of 25 on all local roads. So that's, you know. one
Right on
aspect.
red while you're at it.
Yeah. All right.
Fun.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome.
Yeah, very good.
Next item is discussion of draft Flagler Transit Development Plan by Steve. Oh, I'm sorry, by Jonathan.
Steve, you're taking this? So thank you for the segue. No, just kidding, but thanks for having me, Mr. Chair and BPAC members. And thanks for your service on this committee. This is one of the best attended BPAC committees I've ever presented to. So it says a lot. It's really cool to see. I'm Jonathan Roberson, and I'm from the Center for Urban Transportation Research, or Cutter, with USF. And we're tasked to help Flagler County develop their next 10-year transit development plan. So I wanted to give you all an update and the opportunity to comment on some potential service alternatives for Flagler County transit, public transportation. Excuse me. Real quickly, we'll go over an update on the project, some highlights of existing and projected conditions in the county, some of the things we heard from the public in the first round of outreach, some needs we've identified we think might help mobility in Flagler County, what you can do in the phase 2 public involvement part of the project, and some thoughts on a final plan, priorities and plan that would come next month. For the service area, we're talking about Flagler County and the municipalities listed here. Let's see, I did get Marineland on there, yes. So Flagler County Public Transportation Service Area is the county itself and these jurisdictions. This is a project that started last September, and we're hoping to wind up and have a final TDP, a county commission adopted TDP in March, and a submittal to FDOT District 5 as well in March. So your input is greatly appreciated at this point as well. Real quickly, you may not know much about Flagler County's current public transportation system, but they offer transportation disadvantage and ADA service. You can see we've mapped where a good sample of most of their trips are clustered in Bunnell, Palm Coast, the typical areas in Flagler County that are most populated with residential and commercial and educational facilities. Their system ridership is starting to rebound a little bit back towards the pre-pandemic conditions, numbers. And they're operating in a county that is expected to potentially double in size from 2010 to 2050. So it's a growth county, as you all know, most Florida counties are. But one thing when we do these types of plans for communities is we want to make sure we identify the current populations that might be transit dependent, the more dense households, where households are, the areas of higher poverty rates, the areas where there's zero car households, and where multifamily housing units are. These are all factors that help the demand for public transportation, and it shows that there's a market now, we think, in Flagler County for more public transportation. And in terms of employment, it's the same factor. When we looked at the 2050 plan of the TPO, just about every important sector in the county, industrial, service, commercial, is expected to double by 2050. So with the population growth is job growth coming. But how are these folks going to get around? Right now, we see the employment is clustered a bit in certain areas, Palm Coast Parkway, Moody Corridor, and so on, and Flagler. And there's some trips down here for work in Volusia County and a little bit in St. John's we didn't show here. And in terms of commuters, there's about 13,000 people coming into Flagler County to work. There's about over 14,000 that live and work in Flagler County. And interestingly, there's almost 33,000 Flagler County residents that leave the county for work. But what that shows is that the kind of inbound and folks that live and work in the county, there is some transit markets there, and we suspect that'll continue to grow as they attract more employment. And if anybody has a question, please stop and let me know. One thing we also do when we do these studies usually for counties is to see how efficiently they run current services. against some counties that are similar in size or that have a little more public transportation, kind of aspirational peer agencies or counties. And we look at the service Flagler offers now, it is a bit limited, but they're generally more competitive than their peer counties, more efficient in the costs and the amount of trips they do, with typically less vehicles than the other counties and less dollars spent on the service. So that bodes well for future services maybe being added. I won't go into detail on this, but it's nice to see a lot of the green, which means they're running services fairly efficiently for now, and it's a good start. So we had a phase 1 public outreach as part of the study, and we had an online social media survey that nearly 400 people commented on. We surveyed the current passengers and drivers, and we interviewed a lot of folks in the county that are in business, workforce development, transportation, elected officials, and presented to the MPO, most of the MPO committees and the Palm Coast City Commission. So all good. In phase 1, we were really trying to get an idea of what do people think about existing services? What do they think is possibly needed? And when we talked to folks, this was the main themes we were hearing about Flagler County now. There's really limits to the existing service. It's eligibility based only for transportation disadvantage or ADA folks typically. The other limitation, but not insurmountable, is the way the land use is laid out in Flagler. It's a bit spread out, it's smaller. How could fixed route transit work for people where they're coming and going from? A lot of folks thought some kind of flexible mobility on demand, microtransit hybrid service concept might work, and especially some service that worked for people's real schedules and daily needs to 8 or 9 p.m., for example. There's also interest in Flagler becoming successful in getting more federal money for public transportation. This would help them be able to add service, we think. And there is also an appetite for modernizing their technology, their brand, their public awareness, and having safe transit supportive infrastructure, bus stops, sidewalks, and so on, that would make service appetizing and really safe for people. And the public, it was the same thing. People were kind of surprised there was no transit service in Flagler County for the general public. We also heard a lot back from the municipalities that they'd like to be more involved. And we've really reached out to each one of them in Flagler County to get more involvement on that. There was some interest in improving the current service. It takes a long time to schedule service and trips are limited. And again, a lot of folks see this first mile, last mile challenge, which I think was talked about a little bit in the last item. How are people going to get to public transportation? You can't have it everywhere. So real quickly on our first online survey results, we started to get an idea of the types of public transportation services people would like to see. What we found most interesting in the donut chart to the right is non-ride. We had over almost 400 surveys returned, which is a pretty good sample in return. Non-riders were asked if they would expand public transportation options in the county, and 54% said yes, and 25% weren't sure. Only 21% said no. That's pretty good support for folks that don't use any kind of public transportation right now. Moving on to that, the folks that did do the survey were most interested in seeing these types of improvements listed here: fixed route service on key corridors, same-day scheduled trips, service to connecting to neighboring counties, some Saturday service, bus stops, benches, shelters, point-to-point on-demand service, and so on. So we have data. We also surveyed the current passengers, and some of them are very transit dependent and need the TD ADA service, but some of them can be more independent and ride new types of services, and opted for that. But overall, they were pretty positive on the existing service, the drivers, the cleanliness of the buses, the vans, the vehicles. There was a concern that the county needs more drivers, maybe shorten wait times, a better booking system, and better communication, and a few drivers need to drive slower. The current passengers, though, was interesting. They definitely wanted to see for the existing service they ride, TD and ADA, more Sunday service, more regional trips, more trips in a given month, the same day booking. When asked about new services, they kind of said some of the same things here. Same day scheduled trips would be great. Saturday service, point to point on demand service, evening service on the weekdays, and fixed routes. And really the drivers, like I told you, we do have data. The drivers also weighed in on some improvements that could help make it better for the current passengers and could attract more drivers because they are a bit short on drivers. And they were also interested in the similar types of improvements of same day scheduled trips, fixed route, and some kind of microtransit on demand service in the county. So you put that all together, and where are we? We're in the middle of this plan, moving towards the end. What we see is Flagler County Public Transportation manages current service efficiently, but needs more staffing to improve these current services, including scheduling, number of daily trips, availability. What we see also in this stage is the addition of regularly scheduled fixed route and same day or point to point on demand service for the general public to use. We think it's time for some of that to be piloted, tested, and could have some success, and potentially some service on weekdays, evenings, and weekends for sure, and supportive bus stops, bus shelters, and pedestrian connections to any kind of transit services. So it was kind of easy to see in a way that it's a growing county, and there's interest in maybe taking that first step into some public focused transportation. So we've come up with a couple of service concepts for Flagler County to consider for the next 10 years. The first one is fixed routes. These are planning level assumptions that will get more refinement based on ridership estimation, funding, and your input, frankly. This is for the Flagler County service area mostly, except there is a regional express route along I-95 to connect to VOTRAN services, and which mimics something in your long-range 2050 long-range plan, I believe. And we're looking at potentially some kind of fixed route services on these corridors. Moody, Belterre, Palm Coast Parkway are coming up the most solid, the most dense land use, highest levels of employment and uses, and the others a little less as you get on. So we would be looking at sorting this out and prioritizing these based on ridership estimation, popularity, cost, and so on, possibly with a system with a dollar fare. But of course, on top of that, we also saw there's clearly some demand and interest in having some kind of zonal-based on-demand service that people could take pretty much whenever, and with a half hour or hour notice, same day scheduled service, point to point. This is something VOTRAN does well now, and many other counties in the state do as well now. So this isn't a new concept. This is service that could connect to some of the fixed routes you saw earlier, or could operate on its own. You would have to, you'd want to operate as the same days and hours as fixed route. The fare would be a little more typically, and you'd also have to probably consider how to make the zones work together. In Seminole County, they do this, and you pay a full fare every time you cross a zone, $2, let's say. The rural areas in the county for now would get the current service offered by Florida FCPD. Yes, sir.
When you're doing your study, you can find points within the zones that have higher demand, and you can have your zones overlap. So then it prevents the passenger from having to jump on one vehicle and then come out and then wait for another vehicle to continue into that zone. That's a concept that we're actually about to introduce, and I'll talk about that later. On the west side of the county, and also on this side of the county as well.
We know where to find you. Yes. So it's a great idea. It's a great idea. We put it together as kind of a service system, kind of system for you to consider at this phase of a mix of fixed route and on-demand zones. And in the next phase, the next time you see this information, we'll propose a final prioritized network based on ridership estimation and analysis, public comments, financial feasibility, and overall prioritization ability. Not all of these things can be done in 10 years. There's not enough money, as you know, with your NPO programs, TIP, and so on. There's never enough money for demand. So prioritizing these things based on all these factors is our next step. That said, we've had some public workshops and public meetings and presentations coming this month, including today. We had some great feedback last week at the Bunnell City Chambers and the Palm Coast Community Center on improving existing services and people's preferences for new stuff. That said, if you're in a Flagler County resident or you're in Flagler County, you can take this phase 2 online survey and prioritize the improvements you think should happen in Flagler County based on these categories. And then number 2, based on the 12 options I showed you earlier. And you can go to a base map there, or if there's something you think is missing, you can add an option for some type of service. This is a survey that's open to through Friday the 13th. Before you buy flowers and stuff, but this is a geofence survey for Flagler County residents or those visiting Flagler County. And it really is getting an idea of what of these factors do you think would work for you, for loved ones, friend, if that's what we're trying to find out at this phase. We'd be coming back with a final list of priorities and a final plan that prioritizes these based on financial, like I said, on financial feasibility. I personally think there's enough grant money for a couple things to be piloted and tested by the county, which would be really exciting to see the county starting something new. But any thoughts or questions? These are the dates of when we'd be seeking board approval, and the TPO board would see it, we hope. It was a lot, but I like to cram a lot in the presentations for good to bedtime reading.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any preliminary idea of fixed routes yet for phase 1?
Yes, well, these sorry, I got to count them again. These 9 fixed routes, or is it 8? Right now, I just saw the ridership estimation. You'd see this in the final draft plan, and the red, the blue, and the pink, the Moody, the Belterre, and the Palm Coast Parkway kind of modeled for the best. And it seems to be the public's view as well. Like, all my governmental stuff is here, all my medical stuff is here. But so what we also saw is you can't do the ridership estimation the same for the zonal routes, but when you look at potential trips based on land use, residential employment densities, the southwest zone seems to be the heaviest potential trips. How do I say this? Palm Coast does really well. It seems to be where the activity is, but going out to Bunnell, Flagler Beach, this northwest zone, this northeast zone also have a lot of growth. All of the beach zone, for example, looks like it might be one of the weaker ones. So it might be about connections to the beach. But what we'll also look at is future growth down 11, down US 1, and those types of things. But that's what we're seeing right now. So you'll see a clearer ranking of these priorities in the phase 3 and the final plan coming next month. We would recommend that any vehicle that does this, even it could be smaller vehicles, low floor vans, would have bicycle racks. And yeah, that's something we recommend. It's funny, we got the question on, can people bring their bike on board, their scooter? Can they bring their battery on board? Can they put these, I think I got it right, the cycles, the more heavy duty cycles don't work on the bike racks. So that's something to keep track of. We've talked to Votran. I believe this question came up on our statewide listserv, and there was a lot of good feedback. There's different policies out there, but we'll recommend, if you think about it, every transit rider starts out as a pedestrian somewhere. And so if they're riding their scooter and they live a mile away from a bus stop, they can now use transit. And as a transit provider, we recommend you try to accommodate that in bikes. Typically, the bike racks only take 2 bikes. And another neat thing you can do is you can get a data counter on the bike racks and count how many times it's used by location and find out where your bikers And one more thing you can do is also have bike locks, maybe lockers at some transit stops or, great question, so.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Awesome. Looking forward to it. And I just wanted to appreciate in particular that you've got as a priority Moody Boulevard SR 100. And in addition to the land use and the med facilities and the government facilities that you highlighted, this would also bring attention to the fact that those are the two historic, classic, mixed use, small town developments in the county. And you've got on there a proposed fixed line that would connect those two places. So looks great and good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You have a question, Jason?
Yes, what you talked about putting sensors on the bike racks or something like that. Currently on the transit app, it'll tell me how full the bus is. And it'd be great to know if the bike racks are full.
Huh.
Because my friend Ted here, business meeting, was all the way out to ISB with his bike, and the Route 60 bus arrives, and there's 2 bikes on it. And I have to store his bike at my house, and he has to take the bike all the way home, or the bus all the way home without his bicycle. And we could have just watched another movie because it was already on the map. It was already on my app that the bicycle racks were full.
That's a great idea. I actually don't know at this moment if the technology is available, but
Sorry.
Okay.
yeah, Botrans here for you to give them a hard time. But it's a great recommendation. Sometimes the having the bus shelters and the pad and a bike rack there alleviates some of this. Having a couple locking areas for a couple room for a couple bikes at a bus stop alleviates some of that. But I'm not sure if that app is available yet. There's got to be somebody working on that.
You got to collect the data, but once it's available, maybe it could be shoehorned into the GPS feed or whatever it's called.
Yes, yes. And understand if they do any elements of zones and fixed route, we would also be recommending some technology and apps so you could do more with your phone. And the folks that still want to be cash could be cash and all that. That's something that could be greatly improved. Where you could look at your next bus and maybe hopefully know about those bike racks. Yes.
One hypothetical. Okay, let's say I live out in the Mondex, which is Daytona North. All right, my car breaks down. And it's going to be 2 weeks before it's fixed. And I need to get to work. I'm a Walmart greeter. Okay, and I have to get to work because it's the only money coming. Can I call and have, set up for 2 weeks to be picked up and brought home?
You live where?
Oh, way out in the boonies.
In Flagler, though.
In Flagler.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's in Flagler, off County Road 305. Okay, and it's about maybe 15 miles from my house. I don't really live there, but to Walmart. All right. So I'm going to need a ride for the next 2 weeks because I didn't get car shield. So I have to save my money to pay for this car repair.
All hypothetical.
All hypothetical. Yeah. But can I call and say, I need a ride for the next 2 weeks? To be picked up at this time and, can I do that? Or do I have to call 2 days in advance or?
Currently you would not qualify for any service for that. Eligibility for the transportation disadvantaged and ADA are based on qualifications for TD income, car usage and disability and so on. And since they're short on drivers, those folks, they're not doing enough trips as well. If you institute some kind of services like this that might have some zones and some fixed routes, I've seen where when I worked for Manatee County, we did just that. We took 10 people in the morning out to the Longboat Key to work at the hotel, and they came back in the afternoon. And in between that driver did trips for folks like you that needed things and errands, and they paid a little more than the regular fare, but it's possible you could have some flexible zonal service. I won't call it subscription, but it's kind of like that that works. And that's what works well for the rural areas and the beach areas, especially if you could get a couple more people on the bus. That was one of the interests in the Hidden Trails connector was getting folks to jobs basically along the main corridor in the morning and the afternoon. So that's possible. And that could be a recommendation of some kind of flexible service. But right now there is nothing for you. There's Uber and at least 20 cab companies I could find. But yeah, that's kind of where it is right now. That's why we suspect we'll be recommending some aspects of this network move forward. I have these business cards with the QR code for the survey. If you haven't taken it yet, you get back to Flagler County with your phones and then you can take it, and I'll leave them here. And if you know anybody that's interested in it, it's the QR code to the and reach out to us if any other questions. But Trevor couldn't be here today. He's from Flagler County Public Transportation, but you can also reach out to him or me and look for the latest updates on the county webpage. But great questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. One quick question. I was surprised that the sidewalk demand was so low, 20% or something. Is that because there's no first mile, last mile problem in the current service?
Yes, because they're door to door now.
Okay.
And it will be a challenge to do fixed routes. If you've been on Moody, the swales and the sidewalks are in, and but there's a lot of funding, and a lot of communities will work together with the road when there's road projects to get some of these sidewalks, bus shelters, and paths to sidewalks better made. So some of that would definitely have to be
maybe
improved.
there could be a tandem sidewalk gap analysis kind of thing going on.
Yes. Like I said, there would be some areas of Moody that would be a challenge that need a bus stop, but it's a big swale. So you'd have to be talking to the state and partnering with the state and the municipalities. Often when done right, state road, I've seen the state help build some of these things in their road projects as part of your normal tip roadway work program. You can get some of that baked in there, but you have to catch it beforehand, years beforehand. But it will be important that the municipalities in Flagler also work with the county to get bus stops designed that are safe and up and running for people. So great question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I get into staff comments, Viva, I'd like for you to talk to us, since we had a transit guide from Flagler, give us some updates on boat transfer.
Good afternoon. So Votran is at it again. And this is actually the most significant changes that Votran has made in a very long time. I think it's in your agenda. Can't remember the page. I think it's like 55 or something. Yeah. So I'm just 50. Oh, I was close. So I'm just gonna go over some of the changes and what Votran is doing to, I guess, make it easier for this transition. And please bear with me because a lot of things has changed within the past few days, and I'm still getting used to all the new information that's coming to us. All right. So for those of you that live in Ormond, the Route 1 is that we're actually eliminating that route. The reason being is that we have two buses that utilize A1A from the Transit Plaza to Ormond. So we felt that, well, since we have two buses going the same route and they each run hourly, the one runs hourly, the 19 one runs hourly, we can eliminate one and provide a 30-minute service to Ormond by taking the buses that were servicing the one and adding those to the Route 19. However, because we're doing that and eliminating the one, we will no longer have any fixed route service going past Granada. So 19 is going to do its usual service into Ormond, go down to the Ormond Walmart, turn around, come back. We're introducing Volride to the east side. I know Volride currently exists on the west side. However, now we're going to bring that over here, but it's going to be rebranded and a different app. And so I'll get into that in a moment. The next route that we're amending is the Route 3. Currently, the Route 3 has 3 branches. There's the A branch, the B branch, and the C branch. Route 3C goes all the way out to I-95, is that line between Flagler and Volusia. So that is also being eliminated. Again, we're going to be using the rideshare service for that Volride. We're modifying the Thompson Creek Super Stop at off of Granada as a transfer point for anybody that needs to connect to go north of Granada. And the reason being is because of all the outreach that we've seen, we noticed that there are several people that will ride the 3C at 6 a.m. because we only offer it twice a day. So 6 a.m. in the morning and then 5:30 in the afternoon. And they need to go past there. So to make it easier for them, we're having the 3 drop them off at Thompson Creek, and then they would go over to Volride and then continue their journey north. Now, the transfer is actually free, so there wouldn't be any other charges besides the fare that they pay on the bus. So it's a free transfer to and from a fixed route bus. The Route 10, we're only making some time changes to that. We're going to depart the transfer plaza at 35 minutes after the hour, and with minor adjustments on the time points that the Route 10 serves. The Route 15, which is our shortest route, we're reducing that to an hourly route when it's off peak. And that's, again, because we don't want an empty bus just circling around for half an hour on the road. The Route 17, there's 2 Route 17s currently, which is the 17A and the 17B. We're eliminating the A branch that serves Ponce Inlet. And we'll bring that to just the 17, which would go from the transfer plaza to Swallowtail and Port Orange. What we're doing for that, for anybody that needs to go into Ponce Inlet, we're actually in the process, should be completed within the next couple of weeks. We're building a stop on Dunlawton and Cardinal, right before the bridge, where passengers can get off, cross the street, and we're bringing in Uber Transit for any passengers that are continuing on to Ponce Inlet. It's going to be a free transfer again to and from the fixed route, so no additional costs to the passenger for that. It'll be the only connection point for anyone that needs to catch a fixed route bus or transfer from a fixed route bus to Uber Transit. As I mentioned earlier, Route 19 is going to be enhanced every 30 minutes. From our surveys and ridership studies, the Route 19 is very, very busy. So we're going to just add 2 more buses, keep that every 30 minutes to make sure that Beach Side is being serviced as much as possible. For New Smyrna, currently we have the New Smyrna Flex service. We're eliminating the Flex service and introducing Volride to that area as well. Now, Volride and Flex are pretty similar because Flex has its different paths and, reservations aren't really needed for Flex. It just picks up at different designated stops. So Volride is going to pretty much be the same. However, bookings will be needed for Volride. I'll speak more about Volride in a second. Night service is actually the biggest critical change that we're making here. So we're completely eliminating the night service on the east side. Well, totally. And that will be replaced with Volride. We're introducing a new route to night service, again, because with our studies, we've seen that the beach side on the east side of the county has more ridership in the nights than the mainland. So that Route 70 will service Thompson Creek to Swallowtail and Port Orange. All right, so the way it's going to start is that the daytime 19 will end at the Intermodal Transit Facility Beachside. That's on between Aura and Earl. And then they'll become the 70s. So we're going to have 170 that's going to start going south and then one going north. And then they're just going to go back and forth from 7 p.m. to midnight. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Volride. I know we have Volride on the west side of the county, It's operated by a different provider that we have there. That's why we're not incorporating their app or their, I guess, amendments that they've made to it, such as pre-booking into land or there's this own module that they have. We're actually introducing a new app, and it's called Votran On Demand. Votran On Demand is that not only going to cover the areas that I mentioned where we're introducing VoRide, it's also for any of our Vo Access passengers as well, or any of our TD passengers. Everything can be booked on that Votran On Demand app. Any connections to or from a fixed route bus will be free, right? So if you're in a daytime bus and you're about to enter night service and there's no bus available, you just request them. You tell them, hey, I just got off the 19 and I need a ride mainland, and they'll just pick you up. And we're going to identify later on this month different pickup points or so on. The benefit of VoRide on this side of the county is that it's not picking you up or dropping you off at a bus stop. It'll literally take you to your door or to the curb closest to your door, depending on how many riders are in the vehicle. So again, it's rideshare service, very similar to Uber or Lyft, but very, very cost efficient because we're keeping the fare the same. It's going to be $2 or a discounted fare of $1 for those that qualify for a discounted rate. We went with Uber Transit for Ponce Inlet because they were covering that area, and they were offering the same that our current provider is offering for VoRide on the East Coast. And again, I mean, East side. And and again, they're offering the same thing where it's a free ride to and from. We've already begun speaking to the public, and we've actually received a lot of positive feedback on this. I think the public they're a bit nervous as to where this goes, but I think the selling point of it is, instead of walking out at night to a bus stop or, commuting and you got to walk to catch the bus or so on, the VoRide is actually coming to your door and taking you to the door where you need to go. So I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of passengers have been pretty happy about. Anybody that's interested in downloading that app, is called Votran On Demand. It's in the App Store now or in the Google Play Store. You can set up, there's nothing on there right now except for you to register and get ready. But come March 1st, if you're going to ride any of those eliminated or changed routes, then you need to be ready or you're going to be stranded, pretty much. We've been doing a lot of outreach, so we want to make sure that everybody's getting this information. Just this morning, we did a presentation over at the Orman Library. Currently, at this current time, my colleagues are at the Dickerson Library right now doing an outreach event. We have one tomorrow in Port Orange, and we did New Smyrna not too long ago, and we've got a couple more throughout the county. So we're getting the word out as much as possible so no one is really disadvantaged when these changes come. It's a lot to take in, and a lot of the citizens are, very, very skeptical of it, and rightfully so. I mean, we're taking this night service away, and some, quite a bit of people depend on it. But we feel that with the right amount of vehicles and the staff that we have, that it may be successful. It's a trend that's going on everywhere in the nation. So we're just pretty much catching up with the times. So if anybody has any questions, I can feel some.
What are the hours and days of the week?
Yeah, sure. So
for this on-demand service.
All right. So for New Smyrna, it's going to be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for New Smyrna. For night service, VoRide will be from 7 p.m. to midnight. Uber Transit for Ponce Inlet will be from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I think that's all of them.
But Sundays.
Sunday's going to remain the same.
What is it?
The current schedule that we have for Sundays will remain the same. The only difference is that there won't be a 1. It'll just be replaced by the 19. Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, I'm at the airport. If I arrive at the airport Monday through Saturday, I can take the 18 bus to my house, or I walk. So there will not be an on-demand thing on Sunday to go from the airport because the 18 bus isn't running.
From the airport, that's a good question. I can look into that for you.
I just didn't know if the
That
on-demand
makes
service
sense,
has a
because
Sunday.
Actually, you bring up a good point because the airport is expanding. A lot more flights are being added to Daytona.
Mhm.
I know Avelo is there now and Delta's increasing.
Nonstop
American.
to JFK.
Sorry?
Not-
Yeah, nonstop to JFK. JetBlue just introduced that in December. So we're looking into that. We do have another set of changes that we're looking at and amending in the near future. But I'll look into that and see what I can find out for you for Sundays. Yes.
I don't take the bus, but Route 19 goes from A1A all the way up Granada and back.
So the Route 19, it starts at the Transit Plaza, and then when it comes over the bridge, goes all the way down Granada to the Ormond Walmart, and then it'll turn around there and then come right back.
Because I live along there.
Oh,
I want
okay.
to be able to tell my neighborhood,
Yes.
it's increasing.
Yeah, and actually, and that was a very, very popular response. I mean, a lot of pastors were very happy that because a lot of them will have to wait an hour for that 19, and they were very happy to hear that we're increasing that to half an hour. Yes.
I just have a comment. I'm looking at your goals and objectives 1 through 6, 2 through 6 are very positive. The wording of number 1 says monitor service quality and maintain minimum service standards. I would suggest eliminating the word minimum. I mean, if you're trying to stay with the status.
Are you looking at the TDP?
What's that?
Is that the TDP? Okay.
Yeah, you might want to change that.
That's okay. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. All right, anyone else? All right, thank you all for your time, and
Thank you.
if anything comes up, please feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, staff comments. I'd like to start on my right side today.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
So, e-bike presentation that you see today. In the package, sending it out to you. And one other thing, we have a handout, and it's from Florida Bicycle Association. It's a document that will reference Senate Bill, House Bill 243. As you know, the Florida legislature is currently in session, and they are working things, legislation that pertains to e-bikes. So, by the time they finish their work, the governor finishes his work, we may very well have different statutes on quoted today. But that document will give you an overview of those 2 bills that are currently being debated in the legislature and the pros and cons of each one. Those are my staff comments.
Any other staff comments? Colleen, perhaps? Okay. There are a lot of nice pictures of the information items and other things I want to take a look at. BPAC member comments.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add a couple of things that I missed. I forgot. Oh, when booking, if you have let's say a bike or any type of special requirements, you can add that into the app so they can send the correct vehicle for you.
Okay.
We're looking at a fleet of 15 vehicles to start, and based on ridership, we'll see if there's a need to increase the vehicles that we have. So we'll make sure that everybody is serviced. And I think that's all I had. If I have any more, I'll let you know next.
You'll have another chance. We're starting right down this line. We're going to work around.
Awesome. Good.
Table. Comments? Are you a new member or do I just not remember you?
Yes.
Hey, would you like to introduce yourself? My apologies.
Morgan Barham with Volusia County Schools and the Planning.
Hey, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
No comment.
And Elliot.
It's nice to hear that when we have a visitor, they acknowledge this is one of the largest BPAC attended meetings that they've ever seen. And I just proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. Very good feedback.
I'm good.
Yeah, I was thinking, my favorite road to hate, Nova Road. So, and this whole e-bike thing, near my house, the sidewalk's only on one side of the road. There's 6 lanes for cars, and everyone who's not in a car is sharing this 5-foot wide piece of sidewalk. So as we go ahead and think about how we're encouraging conflicts, or people, I take that to the grocery store once a week, so I'm not, but whenever I do, we're having to shuffle off into the grass so I think it just, we have to think about infrastructure as well.
No comment at this time, but I reserve the right comment.
Later, okay, very good. I'd like to introduce Orna. Hey, Orna
Bhattacharya.
Bhattacharya. Welcome, she's from FDOT, our newest member. Here.
The substituting for Stephanie Phillips, who was the bike ride coordinator. She's taking on a different position.
Wonderful.
Well, welcome. We have 2 new faces in here.
In 2 days, I saw 2 people on the big bikes, not big top end bikes.
Mhm.
One of them was a girl and she ran right across the drive of another street.
Right.
Didn't even look. She was playing with the phone. Not only that, she took that thing and just went. Next night, we're out just after dark, and I picked up something. There was a kid on a black bike with black clothes,
Oh, no.
no lights, and just boogieing down the road. You're not even on the sidewalk. You just say he's in the road. Come on, I'm like, I think I went on that side. Man, these kids are nuts. They're worse than we
You
were.
have lights? It was at night?
He had no lights, no nothing.
Wow.
He was just playing spook, I guess. I don't know. He's
Oh,
weird.
I would be young again. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I want to echo what Jason said. The, Williamson is being widened in an area between, Strickland Road and Granada. And I was shocked to see that the sidewalk was only, 3 feet, 4 feet, whatever, 5 feet. I thought it was supposed to be a mixed use path, 8 to 12 feet. And so I contacted Stephanie and she passed me off to somebody else who said there was no plan for mixed use path. And I thought for sure we had talked about it in this committee because it is an incredibly busy road. And now people are having to share it with pedestrians. And so I think that those very busy roads that have 4 or more lanes should have a wider sidewalk or mixed use path. So take that back.
Very.
So Porna, I have a request for you. Actually, do. No, I was out bicycle riding this morning and on the corner of Route 1 and Royal Palms. It's in Palm Coast. All right, there are new crosswalk lights that have been covered for months. I'm hoping that they're going to be activated very, very soon because we cross Route 1 many times from the Lehigh Trail to go to Espanola and then out to the Mondex and to Cody's Corner, stuff like that. So right now, it's very dangerous to try to cross that without the cross signal there because cars are going each way. And just down closer to Bunnell, in front of the Church of the Rock, there's one section of the sidewalk that has been gravel for more than a year. Okay, and I'd like to see that get repaired. Okay, my only other comment is this is my 10th anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary.
Of being on this committee, so 10 big years. I don't know how much longer I'll last, but you know.
Well, you got a guy here, Bob, that's probably the
Oh, I
oldest
know,
one on
way,
this
way
committee.
more, way more. But, yeah, but 10 is pretty good. That's all.
You and I said.
Yeah,
First time meeting, so it's a very lively group. I appreciate that. And I look
Well-
forward to getting involved.
I'm sorry, I mentioned only 2 newcomers. We have 3. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, a couple things. First of all, you've heard how complicated the e-bike laws situation is, and even finally our legislature acknowledged that and said, we're not going to do this on our own because we don't know what the hell we're doing. And we're going to have a 9-person task force that's going to pull in DOT and pull in all the relevant organizations and also the nonprofits represent cyclists all over. So this is a good thing. It's going to last until October when the task force will come out with recommendations which may supersede the county and the city bike laws that are happening now. So I think it's going to be a good thing, but it's going to be a process. So got to be patient. Okay, the next thing is our big annual spring ride of the year is happening on March 14th. Again, we're going to have bike rides for all ages and abilities from 4 miles to 28 miles. We're also going to have a run this year and some walk and some other things going on. We'll have an interesting program and a lot of fabulous prizes, including a fabulous bicycle. The other thing is on February 28th, we're having what we call our casual rides, which Joe, who you all know, is organizing. And this one is from the Fieldwood Farms Winery, which is brand new and right on the coast to coast St. John's River Sea Loop. And the ride is going to go from there. They've actually built a trail from their vineyard to connect with the loop. And it's fabulous. And we're going to do an 18-mile ride from there to Gemini Springs. But the thing is, just yesterday, guess what happened? One person complained to his councilman, and immediately the county connected with a contractor, and they put 4 bollards on each intersection on the loop, right on Cross Street at Cortland. And they are 28 inches apart or 27 inches apart because the person was complaining about ATVs. So this is counter to all the FDOT regulations, to the Sun Trail regulations, to ADA regulations. And of course, right away, some disabled person was on a 3-wheeler, could not get through, was actually stuck because there was not only these poles, but also a fence. And she is stuck. She was crying when she called me. And I mean, this kind of stuff should not happen, but it did. Anyway, that's the thing we're working on. And if we can't get it removed by the time we have the winery ride, we will have to say no 3-wheelers can join this ride because there's no other way to get from there to Gemini Springs that's safe. So there's that. So we really want to figure out how keeping people that aren't allowed on the trails shouldn't be done with bollards. It's just too dangerous to cyclists. There've been cyclists killed. There've been people hospitalized, even in our own county. Bollards are dangerous to cyclists. So what we need to do, probably Colleen can help us with this, is how do we get the law enforcement to have enough budget to enforce the laws that exist? Because bollards are not the right way to try and enforce the law. So I hope that happens. And then my final thing is, Forna, don't get away because I really need to talk to you.
Look at you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Maggie. Ken, do you have anything for us?
No.
All right, anybody online out there have any comments? With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second.
All right, meeting is adjourned.
Yeah.
So these, I turned direction.